I don't know about you, but I too woke up on a hospital bed and found myself lost in a jungle this weekend.
I don't know about you, but I too was stabbed in the stomach.
Ew.
For fun. With a needle.
I'm a fun girl.
I'm a fun girl who likes things like getting vaccines in my stomach.
You want my booster and my boosie?
Could you imagine if I walked into like CVS and was like, I would like a booster, but I want you to put it right here in my tummy.
Me tummy.
In my little tummy.
You're like, I only take vaccines at the ass.
Could you imagine if I just like fold up my pants and they were like, we don't do it on your butt cheek? And I'm like, I don't want it there.
I want it on my hole.
I want it in my hole.
Welcome to Hot Mess
Hot Mess
Moments. This is so gross. I'm so sorry. I cannot wait. Hasn't happened yet.
We're banned from YouTube.
That or I can't wait for the day that they're like, we're done with the episodes. You know, we finished this entire recap of all of Lost. And then like say they like renew the show or they do something wild or something. You know what I mean? Because they're always doing like these like
they're
comebacks.
doing the most.
They're doing the most with these shows. So I was like, who knows? Maybe they do like a reunion special or something of Lost.
What if they do a crossover with The Nanny? It's a reboot.
Honestly, if they do that, our SEO is going to be insane.
It's like, bitch, we've been doing that.
Yes, for the last, like, once we're done here, like 4 years. What is it? 3.5?
I think it's going to be like up at least 3.5.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite 4 years, but it's almost there.
And with us doubling up episodes, it might even be sooner than that. But
it's true.
I can't wait till someone goes back to rewatch this specific episode and only this specific episode. And we intro the episode with, I can't wait till I get a vaccine up my asshole. And they're going to be like, I thought this was about Lost, and immediately get scared for the future.
And then say, I'm lost. And we'll be like, yeah.
That's the point.
That's the point.
But welcome everyone.
Character.
It's true. But welcome everyone to Hot Mess Moments.
So hot.
You're gonna make it a thing.
Moment.
You're gonna make it a thing. I know it. Just been saying that lately on the pod. But my name's Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. It's there. And Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny.
And I'm Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta Wind 11, and I have never seen Lost before. But The Nanny is my all-time favorite show, and I thought, it's time for an education for Dylan. So we have combined our powers and our naivete of
our dumb ass energy.
Our dumbass, dumb bitch energy.
Yes.
Which was almost the name of our podcast. And we have come together to share each other's favorite shows. So we watch them together every week, and then we podcast about them right afterwards. So we just finished Lost.
Episode 15.
Big episode.
Oh, I would say...
I think this is honestly the single largest outside of a finale situation. This is the largest episode we've ever had.
Because it's like, it reveals so much.
They basically were like, we're not going to be coy anymore. Here's just the info. We're like,
they literally, everything that you've been led up to believe, basically for season 2, has been flipped on its head. And it has, and it does it in such a way that makes you really think, and then also portrays it in such a way that it tackles the trauma aspect of because you get 2 women from 2 different generational backgrounds kind of reliving the same trauma, but doing so in very different ways. And it's fascinating to see a show that has been pretty sexist up until this point tackle this kind of storyline, and in my opinion does it kind of well.
I think they did it well too. I like that, for the exception of the side plot with Henry Gale. This is a women-driven episode. They don't need no man.
And they even make reference to that. They're all like, you don't need any boys. And Kate's like,
no boys club, first of all. Second of all, even in the memory, it's a woman saving a woman and then another woman saving that same woman.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Yeah. So there's a lot here that is like none of this is about love triangles. You even have like the moments where they're talking about and I like this small moment where you have son kind of a mother shouldn't leave her baby. And I was like,
and then Claire's like, are you a mother? I'm sorry, bitch. Are you a mother? You want to talk shit? Are you a mother?
But what I love about that is that woman on woman crime that happens like all the time, right? Like we're always policing what is the right way to be a mother, to be a daughter, to be whatever.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to motherhood. And I just love that moment right there. But before we get into this too deep, Delon.
Mm-hmm.
How's your week been so far? I know it's only Tuesday. Also,
it's been pretty good.
You just started bringing out the chapstick, and I'm noticing. Look at how chapped my lips are.
Oh, I've been applying this religiously. Not sponsored, Burt's Bees. Because I've been uploading to YouTube a lot more recently, and I've been noticing how cracked and gross my lips are. Especially with this harsh lighting.
Yeah,
I need to get like new lights, and so. Honestly, my lights do me no favors. I look extremely pale and it makes my lips look super red and cracked. And I clearly look like not that at all in person. And so I've been doing this to try and save myself.
You don't look like that in person at all.
I don't. Girl.
There's a filter on TikTok that they're like, if you have any red undertones, you shouldn't use this filter.
And it brings out everything. It's like, Wurr.
I did it because, I mean, you know this. I get red easily. Like
you could sneeze. You sneeze. And your face
sneeze. I turn red. People are always like, when they play games with me, they're like, your face is getting red. That means you're lying. And I'm like, I just get red all the time. I get red if I'm excited, if I'm upset, if I'm nervous, if you drink, if I have one drink, it's like I get super, super red. And when I was in high school and was doing musicals and such, they always had to put not only like the foundation on me, they also
put clown white.
They put clown white on me and it was still too dark. No, I'm just kidding. They would put like stage makeup on me, pack a couple layers and put no blush, and I would still be so red with the undertone underneath that it was perfect for stage. They were like, we didn't have to put blush on you at all. And I'm like, yes, that's such a compliment.
Thank you. I'm so red.
Thank you to my like super, super white ancestors.
Ooh, speaking of which, I get my ancestry.com results soon. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for it to say, fuck, you got a huge ass and you come from very, very white, ooh, super white ancestors.
I 100% can't wait to see what your results are.
What do you think I am?
Okay.
Let's make a prediction right now.
Okay. I think that you have a lot of Eastern European.
Oh, she thinks I'm Polish.
I'm pulling out. I don't know, like
Eastern
Romanian or Czech or something like that. I also, look at me straight on in the camera. Just.
Okay, I'm like pursing my lips.
I'm also
ancestors did.
Yeah, your ancestor. I see French. I think you're a little French.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Okay, so hear me out. This is what's gonna goop and gag me. So on my father's side, our last name is Waugh. Mm-hmm. And that is like W-A-U-G-H. It is a massive German name in Germany. All of my family members on my dad's side, you can tell are German. Like hella German through and through. We even have some family members that literally will fly in back before COVID that would fly in from Germany to attend our family reunions. So like very German on my dad's side. My mother's side, I've always been curious about. My grandma swears up and down that her mother and father were full blood German. She was like full German accent, came from Germany, immigrated to America, and just lived in America for the rest of their lives. I think my grandma is a dirty fucking liar. And let me tell you why.
Call her out.
Let me tell you why, honey. So
Honey.
back when I
Have
was
you ever
younger,
once in your life said to your grandmother, honey,
you're a lion-ass biatch. Just
you're a
kidding.
lioness hoe? Okay,
Yeah.
continue on.
So I went to the Holocaust Museum because everyone should go to the Holocaust Museum. Life-changing experience in
In DC?
Washington, D.C. Yes. And I went there because I just needed to have that cultural moment of just like really taking in what happened at the Holocaust and hearing the stories. Everyone should go. It should be like a required viewing of some sort for all people in America. And so especially now. And so I went there and they had, I don't know if they still have it now, but they have the section of the museum where you see people from all the different countries. And it's like images of people who were part of the concentration camps. And there was an entire section devoted to Poland. I shit you not, someone that looked exactly like me, like to a fucking T, like could have been my fucking twin that was up on the wall. And so
From
my
Poland?
grandma's like Poland, like full Polish, like you could tell. The one argument I have against this is I don't know what that would be, my grandma's brother. So my great uncle?
Yeah.
Or grand uncle? Okay.
Your grand uncle.
So
or great or grand, either one works. So
you can tell, has a huge German nose. Like, I mean, this man looks like he is from
Here's the thing,
Germany.
You can't think of anybody just from like the 20th century and go, oh, that's what German looks like, because Germany has been taken over everything.
Totally.
They were the Ottoman Empire beforehand. So when I say Eastern European, I literally mean like it could have been a part of Germany for a while, could have gone back. They could have originated in the Eastern and then moved to Germany. I mean, all of that is honestly a little incestual, as is France and Germany to a certain point. But what I'm trying to get is that
don't make me French. I'm good.
I'm French Canadian. So.
I don't need that in my life. I'm kidding. If you're French, I'm just joking. It's like you're a full-blooded Italian, honey. And
oh my God.
Of the Jersey Shore.
I mean, you'd be more Italian than Snooki. Snooki's Chilean.
She is.
Snooki's not even Italian.
I love it.
Wasn't she adopted by an Italian family, Italian American?
Snooki the Rachel Dolezal of Italian.
100%.
Honestly, I feel like Jersey Shore made a lot of fake Italians.
I don't think anybody. I think Vinny is the only real Italian on the show.
I think he is,
and it's only because you see every part of his family. And they're so stereotypical, Italian American Staten Island kind of family.
Pure Italian. Like,
I actually do think the situation is Italian.
Yeah,
I think isn't JWoww Irish? Like, she's not even like. She's Irish.
JWoww was French Canadian. No.
Wouldn't it? It would have been so funny. It was like JWoww literally grew up in Iceland. Like
so.
I'm telling you, this is slowly just turning into a Jersey Shore podcast. We're gonna give up on the nanny and Lost, just binge it like 2 weeks in a row, and then we're like, all right, let's get back to the good stuff.
Let's just do a
Jersey
full
Shore
series recap. Also, okay, I have to discuss it. I haven't even really gotten into it. I also started watching the Reno 911 movie.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, if you ever want a show that absolutely has not aged well, watch Reno 911. Holy shit, that show could not come out nowadays. Like, it is so bad in season 1 on how racist. That same with I started rewatching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That show is so. My husband came out and he's like super Irish, so he didn't watch a lot of American. I mean, he did watch some American television, but not shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
To put this in perspective, R.I.P. Bob Saget, but your husband did not know who Bob Saget was.
Yeah, he didn't know. Yeah, he had no idea. And most Americans, everyone knows who Bob Saget is.
Because you either watched one of his like 7,000 shows, especially like he was on Full House and doing America's Funniest Home Videos. Like,
and mine was 1 versus 100.
I hate you.
I loved that show.
I loved How I Met Your Mother, which I also don't think has aged super well, especially Barney. Can I be bold? I know this is going off topic of our off topic.
Bold, let's go bold.
This is probably controversial, but I don't think it is. I really dislike Neil Patrick Harris, and I'm 100% convinced he's a part of Dark Hollywood.
Oh, that's not even, of course.
Okay.
I thought it was like confirmed he was.
Oh, I don't know if it's confirmed. I'm sure it's like blind items galore about it, but I have never heard good things about him. I know plenty of people who have worked with him. He's a piece of shit, apparently. And
yeah.
When I now know that, going back and watching How I Met Your Mother, where he plays an even bigger piece of shit, like, I'm like, oh, wow, I can't even like you as an actor anymore. Like, bleh. But I like everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I have heard from other people, I won't name names who have heard it from, that have worked with or been on sets with Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, I've actually heard amazing things about.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about him.
Neil Patrick Harris. I have only heard one person say something positive about him, and it was had something to do with like leaving a note behind in a dressing room that was like really nice. But other than that, everyone else that I have talked to, and who knows if they're fucking true, it has always been like, he's a dick, he's an asshole. I also feel like it's hard to judge because we put celebrities on such high pedestals to the point where if they have one off day, it like is a presentation of how their entire career is. And
I do think, though, there's enough people who have spoken out who are like waiters, waitresses, service people who have been like, I served him and he's a bottom, for sure. Here's the thing. He, we put people up on pedestals, some more so than others. But when you were like someone that they consistently tap to host various shows and you are putting on a congenial, talented kind, like, I'm not going to pretend like he's not talented. Of course he is. But like when you put on that show, it's the same thing. I've heard really horrible things about Lin-Manuel Miranda recently, like that he's also not a good person. And
she's a diva.
Yeah. And like
Hamilton really
that
took
to
off,
me,
and she's just like,
well, that to me is shocking because I always felt like I love Lin-Manuel Miranda's stuff. I'm one of the few people who I actually thought that In the Heights as a musical, not the movie, which was still amazing, but I thought the musical of In the Heights was better than Hamilton. I'm the huge minority of that. But regardless, like, I just have heard really negative things about that. So I just have to put out there like, hey, y'all, stop being dicks.
Just stop being assholes.
People talk.
And you're going to change the world with that tweet, honey. People need to stop being assholes.
Could you imagine?
all of Twitch Twitter. Let me just say some generic thing like, hey, let's stop being assholes to newcomers in chat. And I'm like, wow, you really did that. You really told them. And now they're going to stop being assholes to newcomers to chat.
I only tweet something super generic, quote unquote, when it's something that has legitimately just happened to me. So like, I'll say something like, hey, quick reminder that like ace people are queer and not straight. Like, I don't know, like I'll put something like that out there. But like the level of like Twitch streamers who are fully like, hey, y'all, you know what we need to stop doing? We need to stop like calling out people in chat. They might not like it. And I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, in what way do you not call them out? Like, do you mean call them out if they're being rude? Do you mean call them out like, hey, welcome on in? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and like, where is this going? Like, what was the point you were making here?
There's no point. And then people be like, preach, retweet,
like, oh my
quote.
God,
I've been saying this for years. I feel this.
I've been saying this for years, yet it still happens. Like,
and I'm a big offender of this, but I've been changing, and other people should be too. And I'm like, what are you? I don't even know the point of what you're saying half the time.
Yeah, that shit is annoying. And I'm like, honestly, just stop.
Stop right now. Thank you very much. I need somebody with a human touch. You're welcome.
Honestly,
Spice Girl shit.
I kind of want to fucking watch that movie again now. The Spice Girls movie, you cannot fault. It is everything.
I need
They
to
managed
watch
to
it.
turn a fucking pop star group into an amazing movie that is fully fictional.
I
I'm here for it.
I need to say something.
Yes.
Another controversial yet brave statement from Beth Dixon.
I hate you already.
I was obsessed with the Spice Girls, right?
Okay.
I was a girl that was born in 88. So I was 10 in training bras and boxers at all my friends' sleepovers. And we were doing that kind of stuff. We were waking up our parents at 3 a.m. and putting on a concert and then saying, go to bed. We have to practice another song. And then we'd wake them up at 4 and do it again.
Oh, you were awful.
Oh, 100%. That's why the parents took turns of who was hosting the sleepover. Because they were like, we need one weekend where we get sleep. And I also even created a fake girl group called the Ice Girls, and we were different colors of ice. I was blue ice.
Mama, I'm yellow ice.
Wait,
Ooh, I'm muddy slush.
Could you be DJ Muddy Slush?
Wait,
And like
Muddy Slush is kind of a fire.
It's kind of fire.
It's kind of a fire drag name. Yo, my name's Muddy Slush.
Muddy Slush. Oh my god! I even created a song, and I will someday remember it and sing it on cue. But for now, I have to share that my parents were staunchly against me watching the Spice Girls movie, so I never watched it.
It's good.
And then I got to college. And I finally had my chance because somebody was like, does anybody want to watch this Spice World? And I was like, I do. I want to watch. I've never seen it. And then they proceeded to literally tell me I couldn't watch it because they were like, no. If it's your first time, you can't watch it because we're going to talk. And they legitimately kicked me out of the dorm room and I wasn't allowed to watch it. And that traumatized me so much that I have yet to ever watch the Spice Girl movie.
It's just very campy. It's like
that's
very
all I care about.
very silly. It absolutely does not take itself seriously.
And I'm fine with that. But it was one of those things where like, I just remember my friends being like, no. Like, you can't watch this.
Well, we have to do a viewing party at some point to watch The Matrix because you've never seen the Matrix trilogy.
It's true.
And we have to watch Space Girls.
I think you're going to say Space Jam or Spaceballs.
Absolutely. Spaceballs.
I've seen both of those.
Yes. But Spice Girls for sure. Or Spice World.
I'm
you have to watch
down anytime. But you know what I'm also down for? This Lost recap.
I was about to say, let's get into this episode of Lost because we have so much to break down and talk about. So it's time for us to get into Lost Season 2, Episode 15. Oh my God. Maternal Leave. Just kidding.
It's called maternity
leave. Just kidding. It's maternity leave. Now talk about dumbass energy. Maternal leave.
But just the way you said it was like maternal leave.
Maternal
and I feel like
leave.
And I was like maternal leave.
I was gonna let it go too. Okay, so give me your thoughts on this episode. What's the rating? You kind
10
of
out of 10. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I'd love to see it. I told you you'd like this one.
Thus far my favorite episode so far of the entire series. I love this episode. Now that doesn't mean I don't have a list of shit to call out that is so stupid.
For sure.
And that's literally all these notes on this page for the exception of this last one. Which was just something I wanted to remember. There's
a lot of dumb stuff, but there's also
but in the best of ways.
Revealed. There's so much revealed.
We will tell you that I'm going to get the stupid shit out of the way first. I think that's important. Okay.
Just call everything out so that way we can focus on theories and everything.
Right. Okay. These are the things I'm calling out from the show. Number 1. What has Jack done to make Kate think he wouldn't write Claire off? She's like, what do you think, Jack? Do you think, what do you think? Oh, Claire, I wouldn't worry about it. Jack wouldn't be worried. Or if he acts like this, he's not worried. I'm like, what is, he fully blew you off when you had the whole, like, they were coming and stabbing you in your stuff. Like, why? Why would anybody believe that Jack isn't just going to write off the women that he never listens to? Like,
it's so true. Claire has no reason to believe anything that Jack says at this point.
Honestly, nobody listens to Claire. Not a single person.
Yes, agreed. And it's also weird by the end of the episode, she does believe Jack and saying like, oh, your baby's okay.
That's exactly my point. It was like, why are people, and I said this and I'm going to say it again. He clearly doesn't know jack shit. And now I know where the phrase jack shit comes from. Sorry, just needed to fit that into a podcast. Number 2. This thing, I made Dylan go back and rewind. And I know you're all thinking, Beth, Locke is having one of those really important conversations that I'm sure is going to be like, metaphorical in some capacity. Sure. And was I paying attention to that? Fuck no. What I was paying attention to after I'd already unmuted to tell Dylan, I still think it's funny that there's like comfy couches and beds, and yet everybody, including the woman who just had a baby, is just sleeping on the beach. Like, wouldn't you think you'd want to give the baby, like, I don't know, shelter? Like, it's just so funny to be that they're like not in the hatch. But regardless, right after that, we see Locke. He's cleaning up after dinner. He just served Henry Gale dinner. He dumps food in the trash. You're on an island with no food. And you're like,
I mean, to be fair,
they do 48 other people who could use that food.
Like, they do have food, but they don't have like an infinite amount of food. They don't have any renewable food.
Hurley is eating 7-year-old ranch or whatever. And you're dumping fucking carrots in the trash. What is your problem? Hurley could dunk that shit in some ranch. Like, I was so blown away from that. Also, did he give Henry Gale a full-on steak? It looked like steak and rice.
I was like, damn, they're feeding him well.
They're eating good. What was the last time they went hunting? Like, I'm just like, everything there, that's the detail I was looking at.
There must be like a freezer somewhere in that pantry.
There's got to be. There's got to be. But I'm just sitting back. But also, I just sit back and I think like, well, clearly anybody who's in the hatch is eating well, but are they making that for anybody else?
Is Claire being fed well after like having to feed it? She's got to be breastfeeding a baby. She has to.
Well, of course. It's not like they were like, I wonder if there's some formula here in this Dharma.
Like, feed her, give her sustenance.
Okay. So that was I think that to me was the most egregious thing where I was like, he's fully dumping food.
The fact that they have a trash can is weird to me. Where are you
going to throw the trash?
Where are you going to throw the trash away at? Like,
amazing.
Oh, there's a dumpster right over there.
It's just amazing. The dump truck comes the Dharma Initiative dump truck popping by. Okay. This one goes to Libby. Okay. Libby and Kate lose their mind because they can't believe that Claire would be screaming after unlocking a traumatic memory, which was the point of what they were trying to do. Libby literally just explained that our brains sometimes lock trauma away, and that's why you don't remember stuff, but we can try to work together to unlock this. And then is like, Claire, you're screaming. I don't think we should do this.
And Kate's like, let me bring your baby over to you while you're having a fit and like screaming.
Also, I fully love how they start this scene because she's like, okay, Libby's like, I want you to close your eyes and focus only on the island sounds while Aaron is crying 15 feet away from her. Like, at least have Kate take the baby away or you guys move way far away. They're like, no, we're just going to stay right here. Think of only the things on the island and the fact that your child is sick and screaming and won't sleep, but mostly the island.
It was so stupid.
That was so dumb. Okay, so those were the things I wanted to call out that were funny moments. But let's get into, do you want to just hear boom, 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 Beth theories things? Or how do you want to do this?
I want to, I want to talk about really quick, just to set some expectations of things that were like referenced or talked about in this episode.
Okay.
So we learn that Claire doesn't have amnesia. So we learn that.
Yep.
We learn that
once again, which was a Jack diagnosis. Just putting that out there. Once again, wrong.
We learn that the others may be putting on costumes to make themselves look like they are
rugged,
messy and rugged, and they're not actually that. They seemed very well put together. We saw the other who was wearing like the beard. He had been clean shaven, and he was wearing really nice clothes. Some other stuff that we learned is that Rousseau tried to save Claire. So there was that like moment of thinking like, is Rousseau, does she have ulterior motives? No. We're learning that. We learned that Libby is a clinical psychologist. She's not a shrink. I don't know if that was too much of a...
No, we knew that.
Yeah, I think we did know that.
She said that when Sawyer was sick and he was like, are you a doctor? She's like, clinical psychologist.
There was a really cool reference. I don't know if you caught, but the mobile plays Catch a Falling Star.
Yeah.
The same song that Claire told her baby's adoptive parents to sing to their child, or to sing to the kid.
And wasn't there some reference to stars and such on the map that they were trying to decipher Rousseau's?
Maybe
Saeed and Shannon deciphered something, and they were like random parts, but one of them was the lyrics to a French song about stars. So I thought, what if that's like the French version of Catch a Falling Star? But also 4 oceanic like planes on the mobile.
If you don't want her to remember what's going on, probably don't make a mobile of the plane that she crashed.
Also, how did they get a model of that plane? Like I was like, ooh. Yes, so that's important.
Yeah. And then we get references to a sickness. It's still not confirmed whether they're like multiple things. Is the sickness real? Is the sickness how lethal is it if it is real? Is there a need for a vaccine? Is Aaron okay if he is sick? Is Aaron actually sick? There's like a lot of like outstanding questions that we have from this. So now that we've kind of set the expectation for this, what is your theories after this episode? Because a lot of stuff got debunked.
Well, and then I would also say that the bunker that they're in says Dharma Initiative, but it looks like not the same font as Dharma from before.
I can confirm this is definitely a Dharma station.
Okay.
Like, I don't want you to go down too much of a rabbit hole.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to figure out was like, are they copycatting it? Is this like a ripoff Dharma, or is this actually a Dharma station? So, but I didn't see if this was one of the like icons with it. I wasn't catching an icon. I just saw Dharma Initiative with like the
forgot.
normal logo.
I think there was an icon on it. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. So I still believe that I had thought maybe the sickness was mental and not a physical infection.
Yeah.
I think Rousseau like was talking about a sickness that maybe manifested some physical symptoms because she'd like looked at a child and was like, he's got a rash, he's sick. Oh my gosh. Your child is going to be dead, essentially.
You're gonna die.
And I don't think it is a physical thing. Now, the only thing that holds me back from that is this whole hatch that they have found. The Swan Station said quarantine from the inside, which makes me think either you're trying to keep yourself out of something or inside the people who are kind of sick. So I think Henry Gale likely was an other. I think that Claire was on her way to being an other. And it is due to whatever drug they drugged Claire with, who clearly was drugged when she was with them the entire time. Not only because she was forgetting things, but also she was loopy. She couldn't walk. And she was not making decisions. She was easily influenced. So it's like she was being roofied. And I really think that what they do to new people as a part of a cult is that they like have that cultish behavior of like, you're one of us, like we're going to do a mantra, you're doing the right thing, we're going to make you feel like you're making a decision, but really we've made it for you, and say it in a manipulative way, like that kind of thing. So I think the sickness is really a Dharma initiative / other thing in order to keep up the numbers of the island or something like that.
Okay.
But why wouldn't they just go after 40 some people? Well, the answer to that, I think, is clearly because this is probably the largest group of people that has ever landed on the island at one time. Normally we've seen like little, like you had the ship, and the ship with Rousseau only had 12 people or something like that on it. You had the tail end of the plane where most of them were taken pretty easily because there weren't that many people. You had 40 some people on the other side. So I feel like this is numbers that they can't really deal with, but they go after people who would be more easily influenced, like children, like Walt, like the baby, those kind of things, and try to keep up their numbers that way. I don't know why. I'm not going to pretend like I know why.
That's fine.
But I do think that this still all resonates as some kind of purgatory situation where I have been oscillating back and forth between, are the others actually good and they were taking good people? And I think that what I'm landing on after this episode, which I'm sure I'm falling into the trap the writers want me to, but I don't give a shit right now because I'm just going to follow something until I've proven otherwise, is I think that the others are inherently neutral, not good or bad, but I think that they're a cult, which makes them bad.
Okay.
But also we're seeing, I think they're a cult for sure. Okay. And I think and I also think that when you look at it and you're looking at Jack and Locke, and you even have that moment at the very end where Henry does such a good job of like emotionally manipulating Locke to be like,
dude, that was a survivor play.
That I was like, you better work. That is how you get from the minority alliance into the majority for that vote, and you survive the next week. Oh, you're not really in charge. From what I could see that. Whatever. It was amazing. It was brilliant.
And then he's like, oh, we make decisions together. Oh.
Okay. Oh, my mistake. My bad.
It's not where I just go back to eating. Yeah.
I'm just gonna eat the rice.
Read Locke like a book.
Mm-hmm. And he also knew that that's the thing that's going to get under Locke's skin, right? Mm-hmm. So, first of all, I still think that, part of that is some of that intelligence that he already innately has. But I also think a lot of this could be sorry, I just put lotion on. I'm not just like.
And then this is the part where I think that they're in a cult. I think they're in a cult. I think he read him like a book.
No. I think that all of that ties together because I don't think you can just only talk about Claire and her experience. I think you have to tie in what's going on with Henry just purely because of this. Is he or isn't he an other? I do think maybe he was a newer other, somebody who, hopefully will break from this kind of spell or medication kind of thing sooner than later. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. In the same way, but my only hesitation there, because now I'm playing devil's advocate with myself, is Claire clearly, when she remembers, has such strong emotions about things that happened to her and her baby.
Yeah.
And he still didn't have any strong emotion when he talked about having to bury his wife and all those different kinds of things. And so it's just that just doesn't add up to me for some reason. So I don't know if he's been basically brainwashed into a story that isn't his own, which would go along with the medicine and the roofiness and all that, whatever. And he snaps out of that. Or if he's actively lying because he's still connected as a cult member to that cult until something else is proven otherwise. I don't think he's a singular threat by any means. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. I want to ask now. We've heard multiple different things about the sickness from
Yeah.
Rousseau.
Mhm.
Rousseau originally said back in Solitary, the episode that we kind of like talk about the sickness a lot, and she kept calling the others carriers. But we see in this that the others are kind of using the concept of a sickness to acquire Claire's baby.
Yeah.
My question to you is twofold. One, do you think that there is a sickness? And the second is, do you think they would have killed Claire for the baby, or do you think that teenage girl was just trying to save Claire from maybe, like you said, becoming an other?
I think that they were going to probably kill Claire. And I don't think it was that their intention was to kill Claire, but I think that they had I think this was honestly a commentary on pro-life debates about this idea of like, if you don't think that the conditions are great for this child, like, is it ethical or not to allow the child to be born? You have those kind of situations. And this was so clear.
There's a lot of allegory in this.
A lot of allegories.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not necessarily clearly one side or another, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I like about this, is that it's not like, oh, the others are pro-life people and like the teenage girl was pro-choice or whatever. Like, that's not what this is at all.
Yeah.
There are elements of all these arguments kind of converged into one to kind of show the complexity of these kind of decisions, in addition to just being a fantasy kind of,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
And
I definitely think what they were going to do, I think they had made the plans that like, if she bleeds out, like she bleeds out, we're taking care of the baby. We need the baby. We're not taking care of her. But if she survives, cool, like we'll send her back to her camp, or maybe they do plan to keep her. But I don't think that they're going to plan to keep her in any capacity. So I think that her life was absolutely somewhat of an afterthought.
yeah, especially with like the whole Ethan saying like, I'm going to miss you. And it was like kind of like, what do you mean you're going to miss her? And then he like kind of doubles back and was like, oh, we're going to take you back to your camp. We're just going to let you go back.
But he also said, we've been through this. Like, we've told you this already.
Yeah.
Which
like,
is
totally,
either not true and that they haven't told her and that he's gaslighting her and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Into, trusting him. Because I remember this conversation very clearly. So I studied communication in college, and we were constantly talking about the power of language and that kind of thing. And one of the most powerful things you can do over another person is possess the power of their memory. So if you can influence how they remember things, or tell them something about themselves that they don't remember, or a story, or how you made them feel, or something like that, but you get to dictate their memories, that is undisputed power. Because what you have effectively done, we create meaning and we attach it to objects and things and language and symbols. And when you take that power and you change the conditions in which people have lived that experience, you are therefore changing how they see and view the world, because you dictated their experiences for them. So that is why things like narcissists and cults and things that are going to affect people's experiences and how they explore the world are so powerful. So I absolutely think that their plan was, I don't know why they would get her so on board if they were just going to kill her, but I don't think that their plan was to outright kill her. In that case, why don't you just like cut her up and get the baby out? What they were planning to do was, let's see if you survive. Obviously, I think the baby would need her milk for a while, like that kind of thing. Yeah. And then we'll give you back to camp or kill you, honestly, after that point.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves a lot to think about. It's also very strange. I mean, the others seem to have abandoned the station. They've taken everything out of it. They're not using it anymore. So I think that that's something to also think about, is like, I don't know, now that Claire has escaped
in there,
which tells me that they probably were in a rush, because how I see it is, and I could be wrong, Claire escapes, and so the others are like, fuck, oh my God, we have to find her. She ends up back at her camp. And so they know, because they made a treaty, or because eventually they make a treaty with the survivors, they can't go back and grab her now. And so they're like, fuck, we have to get this shit out of here because this is on maybe their side of the dividing line. And so that means they have to get out of there ASAP. They take everything, but they accidentally leave the costumes behind because this clearly has to have been
before Walt was abducted.
No, yeah, because this place has to have been cleaned out after Walt was abducted. After the
I think it's before Walt was abducted,
but it couldn't have been because the costumes were in there.
That's what I'm saying. So what my theory is that they purposely keep the costumes there because maybe it's like an easier access to where they need to use them.
I'm saying they could be. I
don't know. But I think that it's a really interesting thing because like, it just seems like they even brought all the nursery stuff. So like, why keep just the costumes in there when they clear out everything else essentially?
No, that makes sense. And plus there's lockers. They can put like their actual clothes.
I don't think that they're counting that people are just going to find this place. I think the fact that they even put a tarp up on it and all that kind of stuff shows me that they're trying to keep it secret, obviously, and that they can kind of come back to it and use it for whatever they need.
No, I think that makes sense. I think the next thing that I really want to talk about is I love in this episode how they tackle, and we had talked about this earlier, but this like dual generational story of trauma where it's Rousseau and Claire kind of experiencing and going through the same mechanisms of like PTSD and trauma and how you can tell how time kind of heals those wounds and how Claire is responding to it and how Rousseau is responding to it because they went through the same thing. Their child was abducted. They don't know where, Claire obviously has her baby now, but like at the time, it was a very scary situation for Claire. And so it's really interesting to see, like, we do see Rousseau lash out at Claire a little bit, but we also see that Rousseau is much more level-headed and is like, I am here to find potentially my daughter because you mentioned a teenage girl. I did not get said teenage girl. I'm going to leave now. Like, that is my only purpose was to do that. I'm going to leave now because this is a situation that I don't know if it's like I read it as this is a situation I don't want to get myself into because I've been in your shoes before. Yeah. I need to get out of here.
I think the other thing to keep in mind too is that Rousseau has had 16 years to process everything, and Claire is kind of figuring this out for the first time. And so what you're seeing is the difference between holy crap, like it's like it's happening to her now because it's been locked away immediately. Yeah. She didn't remember Ethan, really. She didn't remember any of these things. And then we know from these memories that she was so dependent on Ethan, like really trusted him, all these different kinds of things. So I think that a lot of this is her world turning upside down. She didn't think she could trust Rousseau. She finds out Rousseau's one of the people that saved her. She thought she could trust Ethan. She knows that Ethan was not a good person. So I think that there's just like a lot of aspects there that are really interesting to watch. The difference, like you said, between someone who has had time to kind of, it's not that it's healed, but it's that it's not fresh and you can think somewhat more rationally, that you can think through things, that you might find more information, and somebody who is going through something traumatic almost like in the moment. And the differences in the reactions. I want to point out something. This is the one note that I made. It was somewhat of a throwaway line, but it was definitely one that obviously makes a lot of sense to focus on. I think it's when I'm just going to call him like the leader or the general, like other dude is in the hallway talking with Ethan. And he said, I don't know what you're doing. I told you to make a list and then bring her in. And so this is what's interesting. I don't know what the list is. Is the list of people who appear sick? Is it people on the plane? Is it resources? Is it, guns, weapons,
Yeah.
people that he thinks that you can manipulate? How does this tie back to the tail end of the plane and the spy that they had back there and like the information that he was giving them? Was he doing the same thing? Were they given different orders? So I don't know what this list is. The list could be people, it could be things, it could be ideas, it could be attack mechanisms, whatever. And then bring her in. So he obviously says, well, they had a manifesto, and manifesto, that's not right.
They had the Communist Manifesto and they found Ethan.
They had the writings of Karl Marx, and they said, oh my goodness, we must learn about teleology and how industrialization leads to capitalism, which inevitably will lead into communism. And then bring her in. Oh, God.
I love that.
That was a fun little term for anybody who has studied sociology, specifically communism, because I don't think I've used the word teleology in about 13 years.
I have not heard the term TL or TL.
It was basically Karl Marx's. Full disclosure,
I haven't heard it in forever.
I was a Soc major and read the Communist Manifesto like 4 or 5 different times for different things that I had to do. I took a whole class on anarchism. And then I also took a social theory class on Karl Marx. I would like to point out, I don't believe in a lot of that stuff, but it's interesting things to look at and, cherry pick what are the things that kind of make sense. And so I had to read like Das Kapital and like all these things that he wrote that were like so much. So teleology, baby, basically means that the natural progression of like socioeconomic systems lead one right into another. And that the theory as to why it didn't work in Russia was because they basically went from industrialization and tried to go to communism with skipping capitalism, and that you need to have that capitalism because you need to have the proletariat, the working class collectively come together and go, this shit isn't right. Which look around. Anyway, all of that said, it was not a manifesto they had. It was a manifest. So that they were looking at that, and he said like that Campelfest. So
it was a man, Mari. It was a man.
It was a man, Mari.
I think that
y'all didn't know you were gonna get a social lesson in the middle of this either.
For it, though. I was like, also, my editor hit me up, so I was like, oh my god, wait, I have to like, while you were saying that, so I was like,
you're like, no wonder I'm just like allowed to talk about teleology while you're just like, oh, my editor hit me up. Let me just
fuck. One thing that I do want to discuss though is Echo. So we had this very strange, and I think it could be taken two ways. Very strange encounter between Mr. Echo and Henry Gale. There's two ways I interpreted this. It's either one, Mr. Echo believes that Henry Gale is an other. And so he is killing two birds with one stone. He is confessing his sins, but doing so in a threatening way to make Henry Gale feel threatened. Being like, I killed two of those others by, smashing their head in with a stone. I feel bad for that.
HBU.
But the way he said it was very aggressive. Not aggressive. It was very threatening. It was very pointed. He was looking directly at Henry Gale as he said it. And it was like, even when he got up and left, it was there was no niceties to it.
Yeah.
It was either that, or I see it as Mr. Echo sees Henry Gale as someone who is not connected to anyone. Similar to how a priest is meant to be kind of a third party that is not connected to anyone, that will keep your secret. And so he is like, oh, I'm going to use this opportunity to confess my sins to someone I don't know. He does seem to care about Henry Gale, and the fact that he asks, are they feeding you well? Are you doing okay? Is everything all right? But then it always throws me for a loop in this scene when he gets up and leaves. It comes across as, I don't like you. And I don't know why.
I think, so we have to kind of remember what Echo's past is, and that he's used to having put on a hardened outside, and he's accustomed to killing people or sentencing people to death, essentially, and that kind of thing. But he's also tried to make a turn for the better since his brother died, essentially. And he took his brother's place. So I do see him. I think part of this was definitely an intimidation thing, of I'm not going to beat the hell out of you. I'm not going to, whatever. But I want to appear like I'm trying to connect with you. Like, cause that's an important thing too. If you think about like what the others did to Claire, they connected with her. I mean, they kidnapped her. They did all these horrible things to her. And of course they drugged her. So it made it a lot easier. But clearly they were able to form a form of trust, because she was literally kidnapped and they drugged her. And then it's almost like, oh, yay. Like, yes, please vaccinate my baby, like all that kind of stuff, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with the emotional and mental manipulation that people are able to do. And I think that Echo knows that, and it was trying to do a little bit of that. The thing that's important, I think, is the cutting of the beard with the knife.
Yep. It's very religious.
That's a super religious thing. Like, you are like starting anew. I mean, it also, I know from various different, tribal nations and throughout the world and throughout history, like cutting your hair has been, it's a very sacred act to do. I don't know if that's the case with Echo, but I think it's a very symbolic thing when he's saying, I'm a different person. I'm on a righteous path. And he's cutting that, like, it had two like little like
rubber bands.
Yeah. So it kind of, to me, like represented, I'm freeing myself of the guilt of the two people I killed.
Yeah, for sure.
And there we go. I honestly think that it was more of I think both of your points are true, but I don't think he left and set like in a way that was like, I hate you. I think left.
I don't think the tone was, but I definitely, like, he gets up and just keeps digging his eyes right into Henry Gale. And it doesn't come across as like, thank you for listening to my sins as I've confessed to you. It comes across
as the intimidation.
I don't know if I like you or trust you. Like, I think that the vibe I was getting. Yeah,
I think that his whole thing is, and he's explained it to them. Well, we don't know if we could trust you. They're being careful. They're doing these things, blah, blah, blah. Right. And he says that about them. I think he's trying to determine how he feels about him, if whether or not that's why he's burying his eyes into him and all that kind of stuff. I bore my soul to you. Do I trust you or not now as I leave?
I could see that.
And I think that, I just got to put this out there. Poor Henry Gale. Like,
dude,
could you imagine? I would just be like, honestly, just kill me. Like, I'm not really worth this, guys. Like,
you're just projecting a lot onto me. And this,
I don't even want to be on this fucking island. Like, just like the way I would just so simply give up if I were on this island in general. I would just be like, you know what? I'm just going to go like lay out in the ocean, and then maybe it'll overtake me and I'll be fine. They'd be like, Beth, dinner. And I'll be like, okay, what are we having? And swim on in. Like, I would be one of the background characters who you never see. But at the very end, I'd be like, I heard y'all have a couch here in the hatch. Can I get on the action?
Yeah, yo, let me up on that.
I don't know if I could push a button.
It's just so difficult. I'm not sure.
Oh man.
So Beth, before we get into what your theory and who you think it's about for next week's episode, I need to ask, how many episodes of The Nanny are left? Would you say?
Okay, so we just finished 17, right?
Yes.
So there's 9 more episodes of The Nanny.
Are you doubling up on any episodes of The Nanny?
Moving forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. So we would have 8 more shows.
Got it. So I will then double up on next week's episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
we're gonna double up 4 more times, Dylan. That's what we're doing.
Because there's 9. Because we're doubling up on the finale. So that would mean that we have 9 episodes left to watch of Lost.
So 9 weeks.
9 weeks. And since we have 8 weeks of The Nanny, I will double up next week. I will cash in my second double up for next week. Because I feel like these episodes pair very well together, like cheese and wine. They pair very well. So the first episode is called The Whole Truth. Who do you think it's
Boonie
about?
Hole Truth?
The Boonie Hole Truth. Who do you think it's about?
Henry Gale.
It is a sun-centric episode.
Oh, okay. That was literally, she wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, it's a strange title, but it's a really good episode.
Okay.
And then it slides in so well to the next episode called Lockdown.
Lock.
Yes. But it's not spelled lock, but it is lockdown. Yes.
Yeah.
It is a lock-centric episode.
Well, in the same way that they had House of the Rising Sun. Like I figured it would be, sometimes they just do things like that.
There's just so many, like, Lockdown is such a memorable episode. Like after you watch it, there's just so many scenes in it where you're like, fuck. I remember back in season 2, this episode. And The Whole Truth is a really good episode because if I remember correctly, it also deals with a lot of like powerful women and like women doing things, which is really
nice.
fun. I can't fully remember, but it is going to be an interesting one. So that's what we're going to be covering next week. That is episodes 16 and 17 of Lost. The Whole Truth and Lockdown.
I just did the math.
Yeah.
If we stick to this, we will have the last episodes around March 10th.
Ooh.
So we will be around our first, I don't remember when our first podcast came out. I know it was in April. Or late March, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So we might be getting into season 3 of both of these shows a year afterwards. So that basically tells me that we're going to average about 2 seasons. I know Lost gets shorter about
it gets hella short. Like it goes from like 24 episodes to like 12. So it literally gets like half the season length. So just be prepared. Later on, past season 3, we're going to be fucking zooming through these. And the thing is,
do 2 episodes of The Nanny every week too if we wanted to.
Well, the thing is, like some of the season 4, season 5, season 6 episodes, you have to watch back to back. In season 4,
oh darn.
In season 4, episodes 12, 13, and 14, you have to watch side by. It's a 3-hour episode. You have to watch all 3. It's a 3-part finale.
Wow, this really sucks, Dylan. I don't know if we should do that. Said no one ever. Yes. How much have I been begging you to be like, can we watch like 3 episodes a week? Is that something we do? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know Dylan's the bad guy in this situation.
I am the bad guy. I am for sure the bad guy. So just know that we've got a lot of really fun stuff in store. If you are a fan of Lost, make sure to hit that sub button. If you're on YouTube, make sure to follow our podcast if you're on like Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And please make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us up tremendously. And leave us a written review.
Absolutely. And if you have any spoilers to give about Lost, you can hit Dylan up. If you have any spoilers that you have about The Nanny, you can hit me up. Remember that we are spoiler free for the shows that we have not watched. And then if you just generally want to leave cool comments about the podcast, you can follow us at Hot Mess Moments on Twitter and follow us there anyway, because we're posting stuff. I have not posted a fun tweet, but I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Hell,
the one that you wanted me to.
Yes, it's such a cute, silly tweet. Well, thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next week with 2 episodes of Lost, and we'll see you for a Nanny episode on Tuesday. And until then, bye.
Toodles.